That's not me. I'm right here. Hi, guys. Hello. Welcome to Paper Route. Happy Monday. Happy post-Thanksgiving. Listen, this is going to be a very weird week, a very weird Monday. It always is after the holiday. Trying to figure out what day of the year it is where the days start merging together and all the breaks and everything in between start making you feel like you're losing track of time. I'm actually Nicole Moss, and I'm so happy to be back with you guys, getting over a little bit of I think I had the flu, honestly, for the second time this year. Somebody around me is just nasty. I don't know what's going on here. But I'm actually Nicole Moss.
It's you.
I can't give myself the flu, Brandon. That doesn't even make any sense.
You can't say, sometimes you're the problem. So you can't say people around me is giving
No,
it to
I
you. You're
think
probably
I'm just
giving everybody else.
I just think that my being is so irresistible that even viruses want a piece of me. I get that. You know what I mean? I'm actually Nicole Moss. As you can see, Brandon Marshall is somewhere in the world. He is in Chi-Town this time around because the I Am Iconic Tour is kicking off this week, and he is preparing. We'll dive into that a little bit later in the show. And in studio with me, I am not alone. I got B-Flow in the building. B-Flow, what's going on? How are you?
Ash, what's up with it?
I'm good. Listen, guys, first of all, Brandon, the background is odd. I don't know if I'm digging the blurred.
You're not digging it?
It's weird. What's on the TV? Is there something on the TV we can't see? Is that why?
Hey.
What you watching?
Let me see about this blurred thing.
I'm just messing with you. The blurred's fine. I was just joking. I just wanted to be nosy. Listen, guys, we got a lot to dive into. It's been a crazy week of football, a great week of football, family, and food. So hopefully everybody is well rested, well fed, and hopefully your team walked away with a win this past weekend, because we're going to dive into winners and losers of week 12? Are we week 12 of the season already? My goodness, the season is flying by. Let's get into some Monday headlines. First and foremost, B-Flow, let's start with you. What's going on?
Man, starting off on Monday, top of the week, Shaq Lawson shoves an Eagles fan?
I mean,
Eagles
fans are very easily shovable.
That's tough.
If it's any fan, I can kind of give you grace because it's a Philly fan, but we got to dive into that today.
We do. What about you, Brandon? What you got for us?
Yeah, I definitely had some close encounters with some fans. Luckily, I never had to exchange any fist or any shoving. But anyways, you guys, I'm almost positive everybody saw the Chiefs come back. We saw Hurts in the clutch. So I got a big question for everybody. How wide is the gap between Hurts and Mahomes? Is there a gap at all? That's the question.
Ooh, listen, and Baltimore and the Chargers faced off last night. Did you guys watch that game?
Yeah.
You were able to. Great game for Baltimore if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. So with that said, is Lamar the MVP frontrunner? And if not, or if so, is the defense more to acknowledge for that than Lamar himself? We'll dive into that. But first, we have some breaking news. We got a change in the Carolina Panthers organization because Frank Reich, did I say his name right this time? Reich? Dang it. Okay, Frank Reich has been fired by the Carolina Panthers after the league's worst 1-11 start. As we know, this is the organization that drafted Bryce Young instead of C.J. Stroud. The rumor is that the owner of the Carolina Panthers had something to do with that. But I don't think, even with Bryce Young in the mix and what they do have on the roster, they even expected for their season to be going in this direction. So, fellas, quick reactions to this. Not too much to dive into, but this is still some news.
You know what? I just see in Carolina they don't want to be too patient. And it sucks for Frank Reich because it's the second year in a row where he's been fired mid-season. When he was in Indy, they only gave him 8 games before they fired him. But I just think Carolina was saying we was 9-7 last year. We felt like the quarterback was the missing piece. Now we only have one win. Bryce Young will be here to stay, so they're going to have to figure out a new signal caller for next year.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by this because if you know this owner, he was a minority owner for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's known to be feisty, and he's impatient. He's like that in business, and that's one of the reasons why he's been able to get to the position that he's in business. Right? He's very aggressive. And so for them not to get it done thus far, I'm not surprised. I am surprised, though, that the and I know this is getting off topic a little bit, but I thought we would be talking about another coach, and I thought we'd be talking about the coach out there in LA for the Chargers. Like, I didn't think that he would survive. Hell, there's still time. Maybe he's fired in the next day or two. But, I'm not surprised that Frank Wright is out of there.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to hear you guys say, well, Brandon specifically, that you're not surprised, because this is the National Football League and it's a business based on wins and losses. And we're talking about a team that, yes, may not be as poised to win the whole shebang as some other teams across the league, but we are talking about a team that has gone 1-11 for the season. You can't go 1-11 for the season and think your job is not in jeopardy. Let's be honest.
For sure, in the way Bryce Young just been playing, if you look and you see C.J. Stroud and the way he's playing, and you feel like I have the guy that's supposed to run this offense and have Bryce Young at least in the same vicinity as C.J. Stroud, and he only has 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, QBR of 32. Mm-hmm. They just feel like this isn't the offense for Bryce Young. Maybe Bryce Young communicated to them, like, I can't get busy in this offense. I need another offense. And whether, just waiting too late and giving it a couple years and people starting to say Bryce a bust, like, they just saying we're going to make the change now. That's all it is.
Well, as we do know now, Brandon, before you dive into that, we do know now, that the reports have come out and they've circulated over the past few weeks that this head coach wanted C.J. Stroud. The owner wanted Bryce Young. So there was a battle here, and it has been reported by various outlets that the owner went against his coaching staff and took Bryce Young instead of C.J. Stroud. So some may say, listen, you don't give your head coach and the coaching staff the quarterback they asked for. What could you expect for them to do? And some could say, listen, you still got to coach with what you're given. And Bryce Young is still a talent, so it's not like they got like some rinky-dink quarterback in the 5th round. They still got a top draft pick.
Listen, I'm definitely, you got to know Tepper, like, this dude is feisty. This dude is super aggressive. And this is getting even messier because this is my first time hearing that, Ashley. But, like, can you fire yourself as a billionaire owner? Like, you're the problem. How are you
if you could, we'd be out of a lot of situations.
And even it to me, and a lot of us, right? Like, a couple of months ago, everybody was out there saying, like, oh, this is a great situation. Not only do you have Frank there, who's who played in the National Football League, he's a backup quarterback. And then he's also been a coach. He was the guy behind Carson Wentz when he had his MVP year in that Super Bowl they won in Philly. Head coach, obviously, for some time. And then you have Josh McCown as the quarterback's coach. Like, there couldn't have been a better situation for a number 1 overall pick. So now you look up, and now your team is terrible. You fire your head coach. To me, if this is true, Ashley, like, this is just super messy. Like, you go out there and you fire your head coach when you're the one that said, I want this guy over C.J. Stroud. That's a problem.
Well, listen, we will continue to, right now, there's a lot of interim coaches around the league in some way, shape, or form, but we will continue to see what happens with the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, there's not much going on in Carolina, and they're far away from the Super Cam days. But listen, you have a young QB, and anything's possible when you have a young QB with talent. So we shall see what's going on.
They're in trouble.
They're in trouble this season, but there's a lot of future.
Next year, they gave up everything. They don't have a lot of draft capital. So they're not going to be able to go out there and get busy in the draft. So I just wanted to just throw that out there.
Well, I mean, they can develop what they have. Maybe it's the right coach that can bring it out of them. I don't know. Only time will tell. But we're going to go ahead and move on. And Shaq Lawson, he and the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles had a very close game yesterday. And if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan like myself, you were hoping for the Bills to pull this out, and they almost did. And then it went into overtime. And as we know, in overtime, Josh Allen 0-5, now 0-6, and things got a little testy in Philly, as they usually do, and Shaq Lawson got into it with a fan. So as you can see here, this video is going viral. It looks like Shaq Lawson appears to go ahead and shove a fan. We can run that video one more time. So in the video, you see Shaq Lawson, Jordan Phillips, and other players approached this fan. Now, no word on what this fan was saying. You can't really hear that in the video. It's a couple of rows back. You can just see what the outcome is, and that is that Shaq Lawson shoved him. Now, I'm going to give the floor to you and B-Flow here, but I will say this. I think that if it wasn't something, having to do with his family, I don't know if he's married, his wife, his children, his mother, anything in that regard, which I can understand then reacting a certain type of way, because I feel like, listen, if don't start none, won't be none. And I feel like if you start bringing people's families into the mix, that's a different conversation.
No, it's not.
That's my opinion. That's me. I feel like when you start talking about people's families and disrespecting people's families, you can't really hold. I can understand the reaction a little bit more. But if this was just trash talk where he says, "Oh, you guys suck. We're about to beat you. Da da da. You're a bomb. Da da da." You can't react like that to that. So I'll give the floor to you guys as former players. B-Flow, I'll start with you because you're the calmer of the two. Have you ever been in an altercation with a fan?
Nah, because as athletes, we're supposed to be able to tune them out. Like, we know they gonna be there to talk. Like, no matter what they say, it shouldn't get under your skin.
Tell that to the NBA.
but it just, and they're far away. They're far enough away from you where you should be able to block them out. You can walk to the end of the bench on the offensive side, because usually that guy would be right. They showed he was right behind the defensive bench. Just walk to the side where the offensive bench at, and you'll be cool. The only thing that could get somebody that upset is if it's like a death or a sick family member, and that really kind of triggered you. That's the only way I give grace to that situation. Anything other than that, even a racial slur, like, you just gotta keep it moving. Like, let them talk. They talk.
Sure.
They fans. They go do their thing. If it's not a death or somebody sick, or you have a child sick and they talking about your child, and emotionally you just triggered, like, nah, there's no reason you should do that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember playing for UCF and going up to, West Virginia, playing in West Virginia, and even in Marshall, right? Like, you talk about racial slurs, and even go farther than that. They were throwing things at us, beer cans, beer bottles. We had to wear our helmets to run back into the locker room. And so, like, this comes with the territory, and that type of stuff is unfortunate, and other things should happen. But as a player, that these things come with the territory, and if you do that, now you're suspended. Now you're paying a fine. You're hurting your team, and so, like, Ashley, we talked about this before. Going to Baltimore, the guy that was sitting behind me, he had like 2 pages of rap sheet. Brandon, 2004. What were you doing at Denny's? Like, I've never been that tormented from a fan on the sideline, in my life like that, and you just have to sit there and you have to take it. And it sucks. Fans, there's a lot of fans that suck. And those fans that suck, you want them on your team. You want them on your side, because this is the ultimate reward. Like, this Philadelphia Eagles fan, like, this is something he's going to be talking about for the rest of his life. Yo, Shaq pushed me. I got under his skin. Like, he's a legend now. He's a legend. And if I'm actually a Philadelphia Eagles player, I'm probably like sending him Uber Eats certificate. I'm doing something to show love, like, yo, you did your job. Great job, right? So Shaq Lawson lost here. Philadelphia Eagles fan, they get another win.
Even bigger than that, B, like, you got to worry about lawsuits. Like, a fan can easily say, yo, you gave me a chest contusion. Like, I want you to go take care of this and that. Or we can settle out of court, right? Right? So
it is interesting, though, because I will say that this is not as prevalent in the NFL as it is, I feel like, in the NBA. In the NBA, the fans are a lot closer to the players. And, this is an issue in the NBA where fans take being a fan to the next level. And we've heard stories about this time and time again, whether it's Chris Paul, whether it's Kevin Durant, the list goes on and on, trash talking and disrespecting family members in the stands close enough to where the players can see, or throwing out derogatory statements from courtside, and you're right on top of a player so the player can hear. In the NBA, it's an issue because the fans are literally right on top of them. And, I've had conversations with a variety of NBA athletes who say, yeah, you're taught to ignore them. You're taught to focus on the game. You're taught to focus on the game. but there's always a line. You know, you can say whatever you want about me. Yeah, I may get in my feelings about it and talk trash to you. But once you start bringing my family into it, my reaction depending on the day. And I can understand that. In the NFL, though, it's interesting because I feel like I'm wondering, like, how you even heard this. Now, like, the arena, the stadium is so loud. It's Philadelphia, and you're not even that close. Like,
if you look at it, though, Ash, he must have said something. He must have said something really deep, or he threw something at him, because all the D linemen walked over at the same time.
And there's a few of them.
All of them was pissed. Like, yo, like, you good? I kind of think the fan could have possibly threw something, because how heated the other D lineman was outside of Shaq Lawson. Like, I like to hear their side, because yeah, they had a little look on their face, all of them.
No, I don't know about you, man. I guess, like, I was just a big target every single week. I heard all of those fans.
You think?
Yo, I'm sitting there, because I was him. Yo, I'm sitting there on the sideline, bro. I would hear anybody that, just talking so much trash, man. So much trash.
Hear it for sure.
You definitely hear them, right? And it's just part of the game. You can't react this way. It's unfortunate. The brotherly shove, that's what they call it.
Well, listen,
this is the new brotherly
Philadelphia,
shove.
as we know, from top to bottom, has the worst fans in terms of just etiquette. You know, they make New Yorkers look like, just Southern hospitality. Like, Philly is different. Like, they are a different breed out there. Speaking of Philly, Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Buffalo Bills in overtime. A huge 5-touchdown performance from their franchise quarterback in the rain, including the game-winning 12-yard touchdown run in overtime on a bum knee. He's been dealing with some issues with his knee. Philly is now 10-1 for the season, and QB1 is feeling himself. Listen to this.
I think there aren't too many guys that I've played with. Probably nobody I've played with that's been more clutch down the stretch. I mean, if you look at, since he's, especially last year, 2-minute situations, game on the line, the Super Bowl goes down to touchdown right down the stretch. I mean, he's been so good in crucial situations when things have to happen. And that's a trait not to take lightly. I think that if you look at most of the best players, that is a trait that they have to have. And it's a big reason why we've won the last 3 weeks is his ability to really get it done down the stretch when it matters most.
First of all, this may be the only compliment that I give the Philadelphia Eagles. Whoever's on DJ in their locker room, you are the man. They're in there grooving, like playing the old school hits after a win. I'm expecting like some trap music. They're in there playing Gladys Knight and just, okay. I didn't know Philly had soul like that. I respect it. They're just that's dope. Vibing to the whoever's on DJ, whoever has the aux. Kudos to you. But listen,
that's why they're winning. That's why they're winning. It's so easy for them. Like, everybody else is listening to, Kodak and Lil Baby and all that other music. They just like, this is too easy for them. They just vibing. Like, this is what we supposed to do. I love that.
Well, I mean, the fans love it. It's interesting because the Bills had a chance to go ahead and secure the upset, also save their season. And it was a miscommunication between Josh Allen and one of his wide receivers. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But miscommunication in the end zone. And Josh Allen threw it one direction. His wide receiver ran in the opposite. And that kind of sealed the fate for the Buffalo Bills. They weren't able to go ahead and recreate that magic in overtime. As we know, Josh Allen 0-5 in overtime. He is now 0-6. And it's interesting because some people have said that the NFL essentially changed the overtime rules because of what happened with Josh Allen in that Kansas City Chiefs game, where the Bills never even got a chance to touch the football because the Chiefs scored on the first drive. Now, Gabe Davis is the name of the wide receiver. Thank you. Changed the overtime rules essentially because of that game. As we know, they changed the following season, and he's yet to win an overtime game since the rule change. I mean, let's first talk about Jalen Hurts. Is he the most clutch player, not even quarterback, player in the NFL right now?
No. Russell Wilson. Didn't Russell Wilson just have a big comeback win? B, put your head up, B. Stop this madness. Every time I talk about Russell Wilson, to answer your question, yo, why y'all do me this way? Bro, who did Russell Wilson? He just had a big comeback win. And now all of us, he's Mr. Clutch. The numbers back me up. Through the first 10 years of his career, nobody greater. So I can't give it to Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts is, to me, he's definitely clutch, but he's like the ultimate winner. You know, like this is the type of guy you want on your team. You know, when you think about winning, there's a sacrifice that goes towards it. There's a desire that comes with that. And I don't know if there's anybody, there's a lot of guys. There's probably 80% of the NFL guys have the same mindset. But that quarterback position, he is definitely special. This is the type of dude I want on my team. I can never forget those moments at Alabama and how he was cheering on Tua when Tua took over for him, right? I can't get that image out of my head when he went to Oklahoma and after games, he was still in his uniform working out. He was working out after games. Like, this dude is him. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen any type of like mindset like him. Not saying that his is greater than anybody's, but his is definitely special and set apart.
Now, I agree with you on a lot of things you said there, but I don't think he's the most clutch. I still give it to Mahomes. We get a sour taste in our mouth because of the receiving core Mahomes have right now, but at the end of the day, when Mahomes had the ball, you feel like each possession, no matter what point in the game, he can go down and get 7. I don't care if it's 25 seconds left. Like, you'll still say Mahomes can go down and get 7 points. So I'm going to have to get that to Mahomes. But like you said, B, Jalen is a player, a quarterback that you got to have on your team. He might not be the sexiest pick. He might, like, even in his draft class, you got the Joe Burrows, the Justin Herberts that's going to go out there and sling it. But it's just like, nah. Like, at the end of the day, I like Jalen. He going to make it shake with his legs. He going to make it shake with his arm. He going to be the leader on the film. He going to be that calm presence. So he's just a tough football player. Yeah. But I wouldn't put him as my most clutch, but you know, he at the top.
And what allows him to be so calm and prepared too, and you got to give Howie I don't know if they call him general manager or president, but Howie has done, I mean, damn, like I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about like the type of job he's done over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Like you can't play this relaxed if you don't have the talent around you. You know what I mean? And it's really simple. And every time I think about the Philadelphia Eagles and we talk about, you know, Jalen Hurts and why they're so good is because it's KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? It's a numbers game. They're not going out there and trying to trick you and dick you around. They're not trying to do that. They're not trying to beat you with all these schemes. They're not doing that. It's just mono-y, looking at matchups. This dude is 101, and I believe in him. I trust in him. He's going to beat you. Oh, you want to double him? Now I got 2 other guys on the other side. And so he's just super confident, and he has the trust in the guys around him. And they put themselves in position just to win. To win. It's unbelievable.
When we talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles and Mahomes and Hurts, it's interesting because when you look around the league right now, you have majority of the division leaders for their individual divisions. You have the Chiefs at 8-3, you have the Ravens at 9-3, the Jaguars at 8-3, the Dolphins at 8-3, the 49ers at 8-3, the Lions at 8-3, and then you have the Cowboys at 8-3, which is interesting because a lot of people will say, "Oh, the Cowboys aren't good," but their record matches 5 of the division leaders right now currently in the NFL. And then you have the Eagles sitting at 10-1, the best record in football. So when we talk about how much of a difference is there currently between the Philadelphia Eagles and the top teams in the NFL, the top quarterbacks in the NFL, B-Flow, I'll start with you, knowing the record and how 8-3 seems to be the general, leading record for most of these divisions, and how far ahead the Eagles are compared to their counterparts. Would you say that it's not that close, that the Eagles are just that far ahead of everybody else, or have other teams have had tougher schedules?
It's a little bit of both. I don't think the Eagles had a tough schedule this year. And I also think they had the best roster in the NFL. at the same time, like, B, if you look at this D-line, man, like, they get pressure with just 4. They dominate with just the front 4. When you can do that on defense, and then Slay and Bradbury getting busy in the secondary on the island, and you got Byard that you brought over at safety, like, there's no holes in your defense. You got a physical offensive line. You got Sweat running the rock. You got a general at quarterback. Then you got guys on the outside at receiver. If they get one-on-one, they go win every time. So that combined with a schedule like they have this year, that's why they are the best team. But I still think Dallas go give them a run in the NFC. I think the 49ers go give them a run. And I think if they catch Detroit on the right day, Detroit will give them a run.
So are you saying
yes, they will.
Are you in agreement with some of the critics of the Philadelphia Eagles, my dad being one of them, that they've had an extremely soft schedule, that they're a soft 10-1, that they've beaten the Miami Dolphins, but they beat the Miami Dolphins. Some would say that they've really only faced 2 contenders this season, one being Dallas, one being Miami, whereas their counterparts who are sitting at, maybe less records, still leading their divisions, have been more battle tested, which is why their record showcases a little bit more wins and losses.
I can't say that because if you look at their pedigree and how they play, like, they're just a tough football team. They not gonna beat themselves. They don't make mistakes.
So would you say it's a battle-tested 10-1, or would you say it's a soft 10-1?
They only can play their schedule, right? And they're not a team that's gonna play.
I'm not taking it against them, but I'm saying, knowing their schedule, would you say it's a battle-tested 10-1 or it's a soft 10-1?
I will only say it's battle-tested because they haven't been blowing everybody out. Like, for you to win in the NFL, it's hard, especially when it's tight games. If you can pull out tight wins back to back to back to back, that shows you a tough football team, physically and mentally.
Listen, it's definitely battle tested. Actually, at the beginning of the season, you weren't high on the Eagles because you're like, they're not winning like they were winning last year. And what I was saying is,
I'm also not high on the Eagles because I'm a Cowboys fan. So there's that.
Yeah. And so, it's like what we talked about earlier was, it's going to look different. Every year is going to look a little different. The way you win can look a little different. The Chiefs this year, they have a top 3 defense, right? And so Patrick Mahomes don't have to do as much. The Lamar Jackson in the Ravens. Lamar Jackson doesn't have to do what he had to do a couple of years ago and be a superhero, right? Because he got other guys he can count on. So I would say it's battle tested because, they've had a lot of scrappy games and they continue to get it done. And we talked about this when the Cowboys came in town, right? Like, when the game's on the line, they just have a little bit of oomph. And then obviously it was home field advantage as well. And that, you have a little edge there. But, a team like this, a gritty team, a battle-tested team, a team that has that championship pedigree, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, they always find ways to win those close games, right? They're really good. It's like after the game, right? Listen to the music that they look at the music they was listening to. It's like, man, this is what we do. It's another day in the office. That's all it is for them.
Well, we shall see what happens with the Philadelphia Eagles. But, I mean, listen, moving forward, they have a game against the 49ers. Right now, they've managed to get through 2 out of their 3 toughest games down the stretch. It was the game against the Bills, the game against Kansas City. They won them both. Now they're going to go ahead and face the 49ers. Now, obviously, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan like myself, you are rooting for the 49ers to go ahead and beat the Eagles because that would then go ahead and make a win for the Cowboys in Dallas. Given that they win their game on Sunday, they would then be tied in record. So obviously, you are hoping for the 49ers to pull this out. Looking ahead of that game, do you see that as a possibility?
Nah, that's a possibility. The 49ers playing ball right now, and they have a little swag and a little confidence about themselves where they tired of everybody saying that Philly the big dog in the NFC, right? Because just 2 years ago, they were the team being talked about the same way. So it's going to be a good game. Where's the game being played,
I believe it's in San Francisco, but I'll double check it.
Oh yeah, like I like San Fran to win that game, and You know?
No, it's
you're
actually
really
in Philly.
confident.
Oh,
I
it's in
lied.
Philly? Ooh, that's going to be
Yeah,
tough.
now, yeah.
That's going to
look
be
at that
tough to
swing.
win on the
Yeah.
road in Philly.
It's in Philly, and the weather's not getting better. It's getting worse. Now, granted, if it's just cold, I feel like the 49ers will be okay. It gets cold in San Francisco. If it's raining like we had this last game, anything is possible in the rain. So,
Well, even that doesn't really exist, right? Like, I mean, for a few players, but for the most part, a lot of these players, you know, they come from places where it's cold weather and, you know, and they're used to those type of challenges.
no,
So
I'm
I
saying the
never
cold,
bought
but
it.
I'm saying if it rains, that changes things. The rain makes it even for both teams,
For
I
sure.
feel like.
For sure. I don't even know. Like, I'm seeing guys like Josh Allen last night spinning it in that type of weather. Like, it was unbelievable. And those guys being able to still catch the ball. I freaked out when it was raining. I hated it. It was like, I'm better off staying at the crib. When it was raining, I was like, I might as well put our number 3, number 4 receiver in. I'm no good to you guys. But like, there's only one team in the NFL that can really beat the Eagles, and that's the Chiefs. That's it, bro. That is it.
49ers.
The
Well,
Eagles
the Chiefs
beat
did
them.
lose to the
Correct.
to the Eagles.
And remember we had that discussion because I felt like, you know, for the Chiefs to play the way they did and still be in that position showed me how great they really were. All the drop balls, they were inefficient. Like they were up and down. The fumbles, you know, Travis Kelce fumbling that ball. If he goes up, now they're up 2 scores. It's a totally different game halfway through the fourth quarter. But the Eagles, to me, B and Ashley, like, the Eagles can only beat themselves. So when you talk about the 49ers, whether it's in San Francisco or where they play, I forget the name of the place, San Francisco or Philly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, we're talking about matchups. You just said it, B. They have the best roster. They have the best roster in the NFL. That's what you said. And I think there's a little bit of debate there, but it's probably majority true, right? And their coaches do a phenomenal job. And this defense, they're not only dogs, but they're super sophisticated as well. And so the Eagles, the way they lose is they put together a terrible game plan. The way they lose if Jalen Hurts throws an interception or if there's some type of turnover problem on that Sunday.
Last point on this before we move on to the other side of the conversation. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, the reason the 49ers can beat them is because they're not going to try to run straight at them like Buffalo did when they ran the ball. 49ers get the ball to their guys in space. They're going to have these guys running side to side, McCaffrey out the backfield, giving them tosses, giving them the Debo on screens. Like, their physical presence up front, not going to be able to dominate against the 49ers and Shanahan. So I can't wait to see the game.
Well, listen, we can't talk about the winner without talking about the loser. And the loser in this conversation are the Buffalo Bills. Now, tough loss for the Buffalo Bills. They are now 500, 6-6 for the season, and looking right outside the AFC playoff picture. Now, the real conversation, though, once again, is Josh Allen. And a lot of people are starting to wonder. Josh Allen seems to be so far away from the first sighting of Josh Allen we had when he first got into the league. And that is, this guy could be the next him. And when I say him, you know what I mean. He's him. And it seems like every season, in some way, shape, or form, he falls short. And now the spotlight seems to get more and more on what he's not doing versus what he is able to do. And that is his interceptions, his poor decision-making at times, his lack of awareness with his teammates, his lack of chemistry with his teammates in the big games and the clutch moments. So with that said, guys, is there any concern Josh Allen right now, with the quarterback that we have seen consistently, from where he started to where he is now, any concern that Josh Allen is a really, really, really good quarterback, really great quarterback who just cannot win in the big games?
I don't look at him as a quarterback that can't win the big games. Josh Allen a dog, man. Like, you seen his performance last night. Yeah, he didn't come away with the win, but I wouldn't put that on Josh Allen. He a guy that I played with in the locker room. And no matter how many times he turned the ball over, we were still like, yo, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's play. Because he can win any game, like, against any team. And that was Phillip Rivers. He reminded me so much of Phillip Rivers. He a guy that's going to go out there and battle any weather. He can throw for 400 or he go throw 4 picks. Like, as a player, when you got a guy that you know can spin it at quarterback and go give you his everything, like, I'm going to ride with him every day of the week. And let the Bills make this playoffs. Please, please let them make the playoffs in the AFC. They going to be the scariest team in the playoffs. I guarantee you.
So I'm laughing, B, because last night I get into town. I'm in Chicago, obviously, for the tour. I Am Iconic. And I go to Soho House down here, right around the corner in West Loop, okay? And I'm sitting in there. They put the game on for us. It's myself, one of my old coaches, Kofi Hughes, and there's another gentleman in there. His name is, I met him last night. Awesome guy. He's in the financial world. His name is Ryan Christie. And so me and Kofi Hughes is going back and forth, talking. And this gentleman who we never even said hello to just jumped in the conversation. He started giving his commentary around the game because we're watching Lamar and the Chargers or whatever. And this dude said this. He said, Josh Allen, when we got to this conversation, he said Josh Allen is the modern day Phillip Rivers. So it's so interesting that you just said that. Phillip Rivers didn't win anything though, B. And that's the challenge. It's like
a lot of quarterbacks.
He had that one amazing year, right, where he played on a torn ACL. If he didn't have the ACL, he probably wins it then. But like then after that, like his window was done. They were done, right? Because on the defensive side, you had Sean Merriman, lights out. He wasn't lights out anymore. You had Phillips, he wasn't that guy anymore. And they had a lot of changes. LT start declining. And so this window for Josh Allen, unfortunately, not because of him, but because of the shape of the NFL, is closing. Joe Burrow, if you had to pick Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, who you picking? Joe Burrow's him, right? Now, and this has been an unfortunate year, and now he's on IR. But then you got Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes got how many more years left in him? Okay, so like Tua and McDaniels, they're going to present some challenges and problems. Although I'm not like Tua's not my guy. I think he's playing extremely well. But like in those clutch moments, I think you're going to see him fold a little bit. But it's unfortunate. What the Buffalo Bills need to do, and this sucks, right? This is how you give Josh Allen the best opportunity, and you save Josh Allen. Because I'm with you, B. Last night you saw his talent; it was unbelievable. He played freakish, man. The way he was throwing the ball in that weather, I've never seen that before. It's like unbelievable, right? But you got to get rid of Stephon Diggs. That's where the problem started, and we're trying to talk around it. But this is, we've seen his brother Trayvon twice tweet or whatever he did about it's time to get his brother out there. So obviously there's something there. And if you see their relationship over the last couple of years, they're like brothers. They were really close. Okay. And so when you go into a season and your brother is not your brother, you know what I'm saying? Like I would say that presents a lot of problems. And Stephon Diggs, I would say, has more of an influence on the team in Josh Allen than Josh Allen has on the team or on Stephon Diggs, right? And when you're that type of wide receiver and you have that type of personality, it could deteriorate a lot of things. And I'm not saying that Stephon Diggs is wrong. Like, we don't know the full story. We don't know that. But Stephon Diggs, it seems like he obviously want a new change. So, hell, maybe he ends up on a new team next year, and that's best for him. And then Josh Allen, just start over. And it sucks because you're looking like, man, Stephon Diggs is so amazing. But look at this quarterback, right? This quarterback needs to be able to come in and feel comfortable and confident that he is the guy. But when you have your star wide receiver and your brother that's not really feeling it here and there, that's going to present a lot of problems. So I feel like the Buffalo Bills should trade Stephon Diggs this offseason, and they should start over at the wide receiver position. And we're seeing now, Ashley, that these young wide receivers like the Zay Flowers, even Justin Jefferson a couple of years ago, are coming in and contributing at an extremely high level right away.
I do think the relationship between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen has run its course, but I don't credit that completely for what Josh Allen, the showing that Josh Allen presents a lot of the times. And I say that meaning, does the relationship or maybe, the extra awkwardness help? No. But Stephon Diggs isn't making Josh Allen throw interceptions at the worst possible time. Stephon Diggs isn't the reason that Josh Allen's decision-making is not always the best. Stephon Diggs isn't the reason that Josh Allen, doesn't do what he needs to do in clutch to help the team win. And I'm not saying that the relationship is helpful, But I also don't think it's fair to put that on Stephon Diggs, their relationship or lack thereof. Josh Allen has shown a lot of the times big question marks when it comes to, is he a quarterback that you can depend on in the clutch? I mean, look at the game yesterday against the Eagles. You have a miss option with a wide receiver that is not Stephon Diggs. He goes one direction, you're throwing in the opposite. And then you get a second opportunity in overtime where you are 0-5. Never winning an overtime game is insane. As a quarterback, especially as a quarterback where you're on a lot of people's top 5, if not top 10 list. Being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL and going 0-5, now 0-6 in overtime is cause for concern. It makes you look at him and say, well, are you a really good quarterback in the regular season some of the time, but when I actually need you to win the big game, when I actually need you to drive down the field and give us that historic game-winning clutch performance,
last night.
Can you do that? And I think that here's the thing. I think it's I'm not putting it on.
But he did that last night, though, Ashley.
They didn't win. They didn't win.
I know they didn't win, but it just happens. But that drive was amazing, right? Like
that's why I don't like
third downs did he overcome? There was nothing there. He had to scramble, then toss the ball in that type of weather. He had to use his feet to pick up first down.
I'm not saying that he didn't have a great game, but what I'm saying is that the same standard in which we hold a Dak Prescott to, or even a Russell Wilson, when the team doesn't win, the first question is well, Dak's not clutch, Russell's washed. This and that is the same standard that Josh Allen needs to be held to. Is every single thing that goes wrong his fault? No, but you are the quarterback. You are the captain of the ship. You get the fame, you get the glory, but you also get the blame. And if we're going to hold quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson to this standard and have all these question marks, or if they're quarterbacks that can win the big games, and are they clutch? Are they Super Bowl quarterbacks? I mean, not so much with Russell Wilson. Now it's more, is he still that guy? But more so, with the Lamar Jackson, the Dak Prescotts, and those guys, then hold Josh Allen to that same standard, and those questions are valid. I feel like they're valid.
Well,
what I'll say is, you give Josh Allen an OC that's gonna let him cook, and let's see what he about. Because Brian Daboll been there since his rookie year, and that's when we keep saying like, "Yo, Josh Allen coming into the league, he was that." It's because he had Brian Daboll, a OC that understood him. Now, when Daboll leaves, they end up firing their OC because he's not that guy, right? For Josh Allen.
And then you got Joe there now, Joe Brady.
Yeah, you got Joe Brady now. But he was cooking last night again.
That's right.
Josh Allen was cooking again last night. So we are seeing Josh Allen. If it was any team except the Philadelphia Eagles, they would have won that game last night.
That's right. Actually, that criticism coming now, right? Like I agree with you there. I feel like it took longer than it did for Dak Prescott or Lamar Jackson. Well, Dak was skating for a little bit, but Lamar Jackson and a few others that came before. But this year they've been on him. They start getting on. They start getting at his head. But the challenge is then he goes and plays like that last night, and that's the challenge with Josh Allen, is because he's so explosive and he can do it in so many different ways. So it almost confuses you, right? Like it's tough to really say that he's not an elite quarterback or one of the preeminent quarterbacks in the NFL. Let me ask you this question before we move forward, or wherever you want to take it. Jerry Jones, right? Because we talked about Dak Prescott. Do you think Jerry Jones, if Josh Allen was out there and he could pick, would he take Dak Prescott or Josh Allen?
You mean if they were both, if we had like a top draft
Let's just say, like, if he had to pick, just hey, who you want your quarterback to be, Dak Prescott or Josh Allen? Although Dak Prescott been cooking lately. But
obviously, coming out of college would be Josh Allen.
I'm talking about now,
today.
Right now.
Oh, today?
And you can just pick.
Yeah, it's hard.
I honestly think he'd still take Dak.
You think so?
I still think he takes Dak.
It may be only like 3 quarterbacks I'll take over Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think he would still take Dak. If you're talking about Patrick Mahomes is out there, yeah, he's taking Pat. If you're talking about
I'm only taking Mahomes, Burrow, and maybe Hurts.
Yeah, if you're talking about Jalen Hurts, if you're talking about like he said, what was the name of that?
Burrow.
Joe Burrow, right? Like, yeah, but I don't know if I would take Josh Allen at this point over Dak Prescott. I don't feel like he's drastically better than him right now.
No, I'm saying I'll only take those 3 over Josh Allen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
To me, I'm a Josh Allen guy.
Josh Allen, and this is tough. Like, you gotta, like what you brought up earlier, B, is really important, right? Like, first off, Josh Allen was playing. Where did he go to school? Wyoming. He was. Who was he playing with? And this is no excuse, but it's just like
Wyoming is
this
what?
dude,
Pac-12?
Nah, they not in the Pac.
What are they?
They in like
So Josh Allen came in with challenges. Okay, Josh Allen came in like I think he was like 55% completion percentage in college, and then he had some challenges, accuracy challenges when he came in, and Dayball was there. Like guys like that, coaching is important. And then so when you lose a Dayball, that's a big deal if you can't replace him with the right guy. And so maybe Joe Brady is the guy that can speak to him. Maybe Joe Brady is the guy that understands like how to take all of his talents and put them in the right position. And then Josh Allen is going through this. He's going through his own phase as well. Because we did this. Let me stay right here because I too much football in my head right now. But Josh Allen, he also is going out there feeling the pressure and thinking like, I got to go win it right now. I need my names up there with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. They're not going to leave me. And so like you go through this whole learning process of like how to deal with that type of pressure or how to deal with, that bullseye on your back. And so I'm not giving up on Josh Allen. I just think he needs the right coach around him offensively. Maybe Joe Brady is that. Joe Brady was with Joe Burrow at LSU. And they were able to do some special things. Joe Brady spent a lot of time with Coach Payton and Drew Brees. That was the last little team I played for, so I was able to see Coach Joe Brady, and he's a special guy. He also needs, he needs a fresh start at the receiver position. They both do, right? And I'm saying that because I'm just thinking about, like, the tweets from his brother. You know what I'm saying? And when you see that, you can read in between the lines. And I've been in that situation where there was tension between me and Jay Cutler. And I know what that did to everybody on the offensive side in the organization. The Chicago Bears essentially had to pick between one of the two, and they're always going to go with the quarterback, right? So starting over at the wide receiver position is going to be healthy for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and it's going to be healthy for Diggs, and Diggs will get what he wants. I want Diggs in New York with the Giants, okay? And then they can go out there and they can find themselves a dope wide receiver in the draft or maybe even free agency.
Well, I mean, we shall see what goes on with the Buffalo Bills. 6-6 right now. A lot of football left to be played. We'll see what ultimately happens to their season and where they end up when it comes to the playoffs, if they end up making it into the playoffs. But before we dive into some more football, Brandon, you mentioned you are in Chicago right now preparing for the I Am Iconic Tour, which kicks off on Wednesday, 11/29. So go ahead and this moment now is yours to let us know what we can expect.
Yes, myself and Cam Newton came together to take Funky Friday and I Am Athlete in front of a live audience. There's going to be some beautiful wine. There's going to be food. It's going to be cool. Last year when we did this, we went to Philly and New York and DC, Atlanta, and I didn't know what to expect, right? Like, we went out there and we just wanted to learn, and we sold out all cities. And it was one of the best things I've ever done. Being a little bit vulnerable here, like the way I described the experience, it was better than running out the tunnel. And I felt like a rock star. I felt like a comedian up there, like being on the stage and you have all these people in front of you and you're just like communicating and people are laughing and having a good time was phenomenal. So it's hard to explain exactly the full experience because when you think about, we're just going to be watching Brandon and Cam sit down with other athletes and artists and discuss hot topics and, just dive into things that everybody else is talking about. It's like, it's so much more than that. It's pretty cool. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to a dope like live show, podcast show, but the energy is different. Like 85 South, they do a phenomenal job. They sell out arenas and, they're seeing 22,000 people show up at their show. So we're in Chicago this Wednesday, 11/29 at City Winery. Go to citywinery.com, go to Chicago's tab, and then you scroll down, you'll see us, and there probably is a few tickets left. Probably tomorrow after we make a few announcements, it'll probably sell out within a couple of hours. So I would tell everybody to go get a ticket down there in Chicago.
Have you picked out your outfit yet? Do you know what you're wearing?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
I'm going to send a picture to you, Ashley, see if you approve. I should have did it a couple days ago when I was sitting at home.
What color is it?
It's black. And what's that thing where it's like shiny stuff called? What is that? Like
metallic?
Like a lot of women wear it like New Year's.
It's shimmer.
Like, what's
sequins?
Yeah, it's like sparkly.
Yeah, sequins, shimmer.
Yeah, I got like a Saint Laurent shirt like that.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's like half sleeve too. Look, be like, yeah,
like, you be putting it on, bro. You be putting it on.
I'm nervous about it, but we gonna see.
Listen, guys, the I Am Iconic tour kicks off in Chicago, 11/29. That's this Wednesday. So if you haven't gotten your tickets already and you're in the Chicago area, make sure you go ahead and do that. Check out both Brandon and Cam Newton's social media if you need more information on how to go ahead and secure your tickets. All right, let's dive into some more football, guys. All right, quick read here. The Bengals scored only 10 points in their loss to the Steelers at home, and it was particularly awful for Joe Mixon, who had 16 yards rushing on 8 attempts. For those bad at math, that's 2 yards per carry. Now, head coach Zach Taylor defended Mixon's efforts after the game. But do you guys get a sense that Cincinnati may be just saying, screw this season since they don't have their QB1?
I don't think they're saying screw the season. I just think Joe Burrow is that good. Just his presence alone, they always feel like they got a chance to win. And then when he come on the field, he make it happen. I don't think their O-line is that great. So when you take Joe Burrow out of the lineup, and then now Joe Mixon is like the focal point of that offense because you're not worrying about the backup coming in and throwing for this and that and Higgins in and out the lineup. It's like you go stack the box. So he's not going to have the yards that he would have as if Joe Burrow was that quarterback. And Cincinnati is really just seeing now how valuable Joe Burrow is to them. I just don't think they're a great team, especially without Higgins in the lineup, without Joe Burrow back there. I wouldn't expect them to win too many games. So I just think this is the reality of who the Bengals are and how valuable Joe Burrow is.
Safe to say the season's over, I would say.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, this is a tough one, but no, they definitely aren't folding, right? Like, when I was watching this game, I was surprised that they were this close. So if anything, it's a testament to how they're still fighting. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers could have easily went in there and blew these guys out. They really were folding, especially without a Joe Burrow. So it's a testament to those guys in the locker room and those coaches and how they're still fighting. Also, I would say that, the Cincinnati Bengals, it's probably over, Ashley. It's probably over, and it sucks. Like, they just don't have enough. And also T. Higgins been dealing with some injuries the last 3 weeks. They just don't have enough. And they already put Joe Mixon on ice before the season even started. And they made it clear that it's Joe Burrow in the air attack show. So, maybe Joe Mixon can turn it up. And if he can, maybe they can back themselves up into the playoffs. Who knows? But it's going to be hard.
On the other side of the equation, though, credit has to be given to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're still finding ways to win, despite, having a lot of reasons that they shouldn't be winning. Your hometown team, Brandon. We spoke about Najee Harris calling out the commitment of the team last week and how head coach Mike Tomlin may or may not respond to that within the locker room. But these guys were able to pull out a win a couple of days later. So, Pittsburgh, again, a testament to just a well-coached team figuring it out. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, again, I got to apologize to Coach Tomlin. I think it was week 4, B, you weren't on the show, man. And I was like, enough's enough. Tired of this average stuff. And this is going to be the first year that the Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach Tomlin, where he has a losing year. No, sir.
Yep, number 5
No, sir.
seed.
So I already apologized, and I'm going to apologize again. Coach T, I'm sorry. And when I see him in person, I know he probably didn't see this soundbite, right? But I'm still going to tell him, like, hey, Coach, this is what I said. I just want to apologize to you. You are phenomenal. You are great. It's unbelievable what they're doing. And, yes, that's what happens, man. Like, when you make these type of changes mid-season, it can give you a spark or it could potentially crush you. And it gave them the spark they needed. Obviously, they only had 16 points, but you can see the difference in making a change, and guys are rolling. And so, and then all the other stuff, right? The feuding and the fighting.
Save your full thoughts. We're going to get to the Steelers in depth in a little bit.
Okay.
Just a quick little tidbit. B-Flow, hold your thoughts on the Steelers because we're going to double back to them in just a little bit. But we're going to switch gears real quick and talk about a team that can't seem to figure it out, and that is the New England Patriots. Another horrible game for Mac Jones and the New England Patriots and the offense specifically against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Now, New England scoring just 7 points against the Giants. Once again, Bill Belichick was asked about the QB situation. He had this to say.
Is the quarterback split something that you plan on doing in your practice this week?
Game's just over. Game's over an hour ago.
Bill, what's the plan coming into the game for both quarterbacks to play?
Told everybody to be ready to go. I think we covered that. I think they both deserve to play. So
the plan was for both quarterbacks to play?
I told everybody to be ready to go.
Was the start
Okay.
one with the practice?
Good. Thank you.
In a true Bill Belichick fashion, a man of little words, a little bit of an attitude, and then walks off mid-press conference. Obviously, Bill has had enough. The Patriots fans have had enough. This is an organization, this is a city, rather. When we talk about Boston area sports, Boston sports in general, all they know is championships. So this era is not something that has been familiar to them for a very long time. You think baseball, you think football, you think basketball. All they know is success. All they know is winning. And this is a far, far, far cry from what they're accustomed to. So, at this point, the Patriots are now 2-9 on the season and are officially on number 1 pick watch for the NFL draft. So, in hindsight, this may be good for them in the long term if they continue to play Mac Jones, because you continue to play Mac Jones, it's fair to say that you continue to lose games. You continue to lose games, the probability of you landing a top pick, if not the number 1 pick, continues to go up. So if you are Bill Belichick, if you are Robert Kraft, if you are the Patriots organization, do you say, hey, Mac, you're still QB1 in my eyes. Get out there, young man. We'll see you next week.
This tough. I'll play my backup to see what I have, right?
Really?
I know Mac's not going to be the guy. And no matter what quarterback plays, they're not beating the Chargers, they're not beating the Steelers, the Chiefs, Broncos, or the Bills. They might can get the Jets at the last game of the season, but the towel will be thrown in. So you're not going to make any kind of run at the end of the season. You know what Mac gives you. Like, Mac Jones is the problem right now. I don't point fingers at people, but Mac, it's you. Like, the picks that Mac thrown, like, the past 2 games, the picks that he thrown is like, what are you doing, Mac? Like, for real. And I just, you know how you a big fan of body language. I'm not a big fan of body language, but Mac's body language will piss me off if I was a teammate. Because he just seemed like he don't care. Like, it's all
He
good.
probably doesn't care at this point.
And I wouldn't blame him because of what he's
surrounding
him with, right?
When you talk about the backup, though, we've seen this. We just saw this with the Jets. Their backup wasn't much better. You know what I mean? It's very rare that your third-string quarterback is like a diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? Or in this case, it's even rare sometimes that your backup quarterback is a diamond in the rough. Not everyone's lucky to have a Cooper Rush. Not everybody is lucky to have maybe a Joe Flacco or a guy who has been in it and may not go ahead and be able to take you to the promised land, but can win you games. Or when Jimmy Garoppolo was the backup to Tom Brady in New England. That's rare to have a backup quarterback that can go out there and win you not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but multiple games. So we're talking about taking out Mac Jones, putting in the backup. It's safe to say offensively there's not many weapons right now in New England. This does not look like the New England Patriots team of the Tom Brady era. Defensively, yeah, there's stuff there, but it's not great. So a backup's going to do what exactly?
I think it's the Bill
And
Belichick philosophy.
do you even want to win football games if you're looking at this team and you know Mac Jones is not your future? And you know, listen, this guy, it's been real, but you don't got to go home, but you can get the hell up out of here. Don't you want to go ahead and not lose, but not try to win because you're thinking about next season and the future?
Yeah, when I read their schedule off, they're not winning any of those games, no matter who play quarterback anyway, right?
You would hope not.
but with Bill Belichick, you can't lose your team. You got to stick to your philosophy. If somebody not playing well, what Bill Belichick does, no matter what position it is, like he yanks them. You hear so many stories about Tom Brady and how great he was, and even if they won the Super Bowl, he'll start off training camp or OTAs the next year going back to old film and just, Tom, what was this? We can't have this. So if you are Bill Belichick, I mean, you can't keep being repetitive and keep pulling them every game. It's now, you're not performing, you got to sit down. And even if the backup not going to win any games, it's just, that's what you do. And if you get soft on that, then will you lose a team and people look at you like, you done got a little older, you done got soft. That's how I look at it.
Well, Brandon, if you're in that locker room, okay, you're a New England Patriot.
Yeah.
You're in that locker room, Mac Jones not playing well. But you also know you got a couple more years in New England, and you know that if you guys continue to not play well, your stock in the draft continues to rise. At this point of the season, sitting at 2-9, do you give a damn if it's Mac Jones at quarterback or if it's Zap at quarterback? What's his name again? Zappy at quarterback. Yep. At this point, do you really care whether or not Bill Belichick sends the message of, you're not playing well, you sit out. Hey, you guy, come in here. And he starts, like, at this point, does it matter to you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, accountability is critical in the locker room. Like, it's like, yes.
It matters to you?
Yeah, well, it's like, I'm just trying to describe the environment. It's like, you got to think about it's all Lions, 53 Lions, 58 Lions in there.
Well, the Lions are in the den right now because you're 2-9. So
right. So like, yes, when guys aren't held accountable and when coaches switch up, right? Like whichever way you want to go. Like if it's the Bill Belichick way and this is what you do, stay that way through thick and thin. Or if you're cool, right? And you know what I mean? You're more of a players coach, then stay that way, thick or thin. Like you've seen players coaches go out there and try to be tough in these type of situations, and you lose all respect. It's like, now we losing, now you want to switch up your character and all of that. So you got to stay who you are. Accountability is critical on both ends. But as a player too, if I'm a wide receiver, you're not really thinking about that long term, because what I'm thinking about is I got to get my contract. Like I got to continue to produce. I got to do my job.
No, let's say
right?
You have your contract already.
I'm thinking about the next contract.
Okay.
I'm thinking about, because, and it's not even that, it's like keeping this, right? Because think about it. This is the problem. Some of those wide receivers and tight ends that might be up next year, okay? Or might be up in 2 years. They're going to look back and say, oh, well, your production slipped. They're not going to say you had Mac Jones. They're not going to say you had Matt Patricia calling the plays. They're not going to say that. They're going to say that your production slipped, so therefore we can't give you what you're asking for.
Do you think your production would increase with Zappy as your quarterback?
Say that again?
Do you think your production's going to drastically increase with Zappy as your quarterback?
No, what I'm saying as far as like for me, the only thing I'm thinking about is how do I continue to produce? How do we continue to produce? Because there's a business around it as well. Mm-hmm. You know, those wide receivers aren't thinking about, you know, you do think about that, like for sure, like, oh man, like we suck. We could potentially be getting this quarterback. You think about those things, but at the same time, you got to live in the here and now, because if you don't produce, they're going to ask you to take a pay cut. They're going to cut you. And it's unfortunate because they're not going to turn around and say, well, it was Mac Jones' fault. It was Matt Patricia's fault. Right. So you got to find a way to still produce. And if I'm Robert Kraft, I'll push the conversation forward. If I'm Robert Kraft, especially in this position, I keep Bill Belichick unless somebody offers me something wild for him, which that could potentially happen.
Carolina.
You know, you got Carolina. I like him. I like him in LA with the Chargers, your former team. But I keep Bill Belichick, especially if I can go get a quarterback finally, and you really believe in this quarterback if you're picking at the top of the draft. So I keep Bill Belichick. and I go get the quarterback and I give it another shot. That's what I do if I'm Robert.
I gotta
Kraft,
say,
for sure.
I'm very interested to hear you both say that you have to go ahead. Accountability is key, because y'all did not have the same energy for Zach Wilson. I was the only one who sat here and said, Zach Wilson's got to be pulled. He's got to be benched. He's got to go. He's not the guy. Da-da-da-da. Robert Saleh, every press conference, it's defending Zach Wilson. It's generalizing the faults of the offense. It's nurturing his ego. It's protecting his ego. And
you don't remember
you
what
guys
we said?
sat here and told me, well, that's what you got to do. It's not all Zach Wilson. It's not all his fault. You know, we have to, we can go bench him for who? Bench him for who? Why is it a different scenario? Why is it a different philosophy when it comes to New England?
The first thing we said is that's what Coach Saleh's job is. You don't go out there and bash your players. Essentially.
I didn't say anything to bash him.
What Bill Belichick is saying and doing and not giving us is what Robert Saleh was doing. They're just doing it different ways. Mm-hmm. They don't care to appease us and give us all this
I might take Robert Saleh out of it. I'm talking about the accountability of benching Zach Wilson.
What we said about Zach Wilson is, behind closed doors, if he's not holding him accountable, then there's going to be a problem. Because if you're out publicly trying to, put a pacifier in his mouth, right, when we know he's doing some boneheaded stuff, and then internally you're not holding him accountable, then that's where the problem presents itself. So we definitely said that.
Wouldn't holding him accountable have been benching him earlier in the season to try to salvage
because now you
got to look at
you have to look at the alternative. It's the same thing in New England. Like, what's the alternative? Like, I don't think that there was a better quarterback out there. You're gonna go get Matt Ryan that's in the booth at CBS.
I would have taken Joe Flacco over Zach Wilson.
No,
I would have taken Joe Flacco over Tim Boyle, Boyle, whatever his name is.
Yeah, but Joe Flacco already showed us who he is.
You wouldn't take Joe Flacco over Zach Wilson at this point. And this point,
they already showed us who they are.
So you're telling me weeks ago when the Jets were 500. You would not have taken Joe Flacco over Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle?
Nope, I would not. Aaron Rodgers didn't want it either. Aaron Rodgers came out.
Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline with a headset on. His opinion's irrelevant right now. You're not playing. So until you can suit up and play, you don't have any say-so in what quarterback we use to salvage our season, because that quarterback's not you. Is it not?
Well,
is that fair?
In 3 weeks, it'll be him.
He ain't coming back to save this team.
We ain't saying save the team. He don't have to save it, but he gonna beat science.
You guys are crazy.
He gonna beat science. That boy coming back.
Oh my God! Listen, B-Flow, last thoughts on this or?
No, like when you just mentioned Kyle and Mac, I think I got a soft spot for Kyle because he actually tries. Like, he scrambles. You can see like the heart and the emotion that he put out on the field, that he's actually trying to get some wins. Mac, to me, it looks like on the field.
I will give him that. Zach Wilson does try.
On the field, I don't think Mac cares at this point if they lose or not. Like, he's just like, yo, y'all done pissed me off. Like, it is what it is. I don't want to be here next year. I don't care if y'all get rid of me. Like, I need a fresh start. So that's why.
Emotional abuse.
My dad said, what about your BFF, Ryan Fitzpatrick? You wouldn't have taken him as the Jets quarterback in the interim?
No, listen, if Ryan was still working out and practicing, I would have said yes. Mr. Jeff, I love him. If he was actually working out, I would have said yes, like, for sure.
How do you know he's not working out?
Because he texts me every 2 weeks. Hey, my check-in with you, B. How are you doing?
He ain't working out.
Every 2 weeks he texts me. Hell no, he ain't working. He barely worked out when he was playing. That boy came back so fat that second year. I was like, bro, what is going on? You know what? I thought the only thing out there that we could have done, and at that point, like, what was that, week 4, week 5, we were thinking about this, or maybe a little earlier?
No, it was around week 4, week 5, because they were like 500.
Jameis Winston was the only one that I thought, like, and me and Fitz actually talked about this, right? Like, I was asking Fitz about the quarterback situation around the league, and it wasn't just about the Jets, but it was like, who's out there that makes sense right now? And me and Fitz both, really came from Fitz, like Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's a guy before the trade deadline. If you needed a quarterback, you could have went out there and took a shot on. But other than that, Matt Ryan out there, pizza eating Ryan Fitzpatrick.
My dad just said Ryan just off the couch would have been better than Zach Wilson.
You know what? Your dad might not be wrong because Fitzmagic is Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic, baby.
Hey, yeah, right. Your dad might not be wrong, but I wouldn't take no Matt Ryan. Your dad might be on. He on to something right now.
Fitzmagic, baby.
I love Fitzy. But then when Fitz throw 4 interceptions, what we gonna do? What we gonna do when Fitz throw 4 interceptions?
It would be Brandon's 2 favorite quarterbacks now in the Jets. You have Aaron Rodgers, you have Fitzmagic, you have Russell Wilson in Denver. It'd be a great time for him. Listen, we're gonna hold on.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's talk about that. I don't even think we have that in the rundown. How do you feel about Ashley? How do you feel about Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson?
We don't have Denver Broncos in the rundown, Brandon.
I know, but let's talk about. I want to get your thoughts really quickly. Tell me, Ashley, are you a believer? Mr. Jeff, in the chat.
Ash, you kind of got to be a believer right now.
Mr. Jeff, are you a believer? What is Mr. Jeff saying now?
I never said, let the record show, I was never one of those people who said that Russell Wilson was washed. Ever.
No, you never said that.
Never said that. Even when we discussed for the first time, I believe we had a show where we discussed the tiers.
You don't got to explain yourself, Ashley.
No.
You're right.
I think we had a show where we discussed the tiers of quarterback that ESPN had put out or PFF rankings or something put out. And they had Russell Wilson, I think, tier 3. And I said, that's absolutely insane. Russell Wilson is still a tier 2 quarterback. He is still Russell freaking Wilson. I just did not. I was not a believer.
Why would you say tier 2?
Huh? Because tier 1, we're talking Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
Yes.
I don't think he's in that category anymore.
Yes, he is.
Tier 1 only had 5 quarterbacks in it, Brandon. And Russell Wilson's not a tier 1 quarterback at this point. I'm sorry. He's not. He's a great quarterback. He's just not a tier 1 quarterback anymore. But I was not 100% a believer in the Denver Broncos. I was never not a believer in Russell Wilson, but I wasn't a believer in Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos together.
Will they
As of right now, I stand somewhat corrected. B-Flow, do you stand somewhat corrected?
Ashley? Will they make the playoffs this year?
I think they can slide into if they continue this trajectory. Right now it's week 12. We got, 6 more weeks left? I don't know what their schedule's looking like. You have their schedule?
They have the Texans, the Chargers.
The Texans might be tough.
They got the Chargers twice.
Chargers they'll probably beat because the Chargers, Staley is useless. Go ahead.
They got the Lions, the Pats, and the Raiders.
Pats, they'll win. I think Chargers will be tough. I think they could beat the Texans will be tough. They can beat the Chargers. They can beat the Pats. Who else?
They'll split with the Chargers.
They'll split with the Chargers. Yeah. You have Ravens on there?
Nah.
No? Who's the last one? Raiders?
Raiders.
I think they could beat the Raiders. I don't know. Yeah, I think they could slide into a wild card. Maybe.
I got Sierra hung up on me last night. I was talking to Sierra last night on the phone after the game. Boom. Everybody having a good time. And I said, I got to be honest with you, sis. And I said, you probably ain't going to like this. I said, I see y'all have y'all losing one more game. One more game. That's it. She ain't like that. She put up the 0, boom, boom, boom.
No, right? I think they have more than one that they'll lose.
No, only one. Only one. And I thought it would be the Texans. But I like them beating the Texans.
What?
And then also, and then the Lions. Yes. And also the Lions. But the Lions just lost to the Packers. Where were y'all? Y'all was sitting there watching the game, eating y'all turkey. Maybe they was eating too much turkey. So
I give them 3 losses.
The reality is they might be they could potentially have a 11-game win streak and be the hottest team going into the postseason.
It's the thing. You be on to something, then you put way too much on it, bro. They're not doing that.
I think they can.
Bro, tell me how they
can.
You don't think they can beat the Lions? You don't think they can beat the Texans?
I mean, you can.
You can.
But
I don't see them beating the Texans. I see them beating the Chargers once, and I think the Lions may be a little bit of a battle. I think
at home, the Lions gonna be pissed. Playoffs coming. That's December. That's mid-December.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Denver Broncos lose 2 to 3 games.
They'll lose 3.
No, they won't. Y'all just not listening to me here.
I'm listening. Please. You not listening.
Guys, please, just listen to me on this. At most, 1 game. 1 game. You got to think about it. Defensively, what is it? Defensively, they're giving up less than 20 points a game. They have 16 turnovers. I don't know if they're going to continue to turn the ball over at that rate. And then offensively, I'm telling you, there's more. I'm telling you, there's more.
I don't see them beating the Texans. I don't see them beating the Lions. Those are 2 losses right there.
And they're not sweeping the Chargers.
The Chargers?
They're not sweeping the Chargers.
The Chargers is going to be. They might. The coach might be fired by then.
That's why they gonna have that little spark.
Hold on, time out. B. They're sitting at 4-7 right now. Okay, they're sitting at 4-7. Just last week, you and I both talked about there comes a point in the season where you start shipping the car. Ashley wasn't on the show when we were talking about this. There comes a point in the season. Tell Ashley what we talking about. That when you ship the cars back, you start making off-season plans. The Chargers are going to be there. They're probably there now. They're packing it up. Are they not, B?
Nah, this would be their head coach last week. And once their head coach get fired, they go hire somebody to be the head coach that's cool on the staff, and they're going to be like, yo, we want him to be our coach. And they go on a little run.
Yo, so even if they beat the Chargers and they win out against the Chargers, they still have 2 losses between the Texans and Detroit, who I believe they're going to lose. That makes it even harder for them to get into the playoffs. So
hold on. And another thing too is, sorry to interrupt. B-Flow. Now we way off. You owe me. Aren't you supposed to be singing a song?
Or a Meek Mill song?
You gotta rap a Meek Mill song.
I do gotta rap him tomorrow.
You'll have him rap a Meek Mill song tomorrow. You gotta pick the song and he'll rap it.
All right, we're gonna pick something.
Pick the song, pick the verse, and he'll rap it.
Because I'm saying, and I brought that up because I'm always right.
Okay. Moving on here. The tale of 2 quarterbacks. Listen, Lamar has a good team. Justin Herbert has a good team, but not the wins. Here we go. The Ravens continue to roll in the AFC, and now they own the number 1 seed in the conference as they enter their bye week. So that's good. The defense was a story against the Chargers, holding LA to only 10 points and forcing 4 turnovers. Now, Lamar is right there for the MVP contention conversation, but does Baltimore's defense deserve more credit for their hot start than the quarterback does? B-Flow, you're a defensive guy. Go ahead.
Oh, for sure. You know, everybody want to crown a quarterback. Lamar playing solid, but this D been playing like the old Ravens D, like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. This is the best defense they had in a long time. They remind me of Ray and those guys. Like, they're going to turn the ball over. Even on random routine plays, they come and punish you, and you feel it. Like, when you watch the Ravens, you say this is the physical Ravens team, the defense that I'm used to seeing. So
I never thought we were going to see them again like this.
It's hard. You know how hard it is to take the attention away from Lamar Jackson, that quarterback, like a human highlight reel. And when you watch the game, you're just like, yo, nah, it's this defense. This defense the one swarming. So I wouldn't say this defense carried Lamar, but I think the defense should be the topic of conversation on why, they're first in the conference this year.
Yeah, when you think about the Baltimore Ravens, you just think about you also think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? You think about even the Chicago Bears, the monsters of the Midway, when Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs and Peanut Tillman and all those guys were there. You just think about this is a defensive team, this is a defensive city, and so for them to just be average and at times bad over the last 5 years or so. And then now be back where we're in their position, sitting on their throne, it says a lot about this team. Even Clowney, like, are you kidding me? Clowney, what they say last night, Clowney been on 5 teams in 6 years.
Yeah.
Mr. Journeyman, and he has 7.5 sacks. He looks like he found the fountain of youth. Like, what the hell is going on in Baltimore? Look,
well, I mean, speaking of Baltimore, Brandon, real quick, I want to ask you about the wide receiver conversation going on. Odell Beckham back on the field. There was a lot of talk about whether Odell can return to Giants Odell, even LA Rams Odell. He had, 34 yards, 3 receiving, averaging about 11 yards a carry last night. There was a lot of question on whether or not the Ravens made the right choice going for Odell versus DeAndre Hopkins, who's in Tennessee. Do you feel any differently about Odell? Do you think that there's signs of life there for him to return to prime position, or do you just feel like this is the Odell that we're going to get, more of a wide receiver 2 option?
We won't know until the end of the year whether it was the right decision, meaning should they have gone after DeAndre Hopkins or Odell Beckham Jr. And remember, there was a lot of it was a standoff between Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And one of the things that he said, if you want me back, after he said trade me publicly, he said, all right, well, if we're going to do this, then y'all go get me some firepower. He named a couple wide receivers, and they said, all right, well, what we'll do is we'll give you one vet, and then we'll go draft someone in the first round, which was Zay Flowers, right? So boom, Odell Beckham Jr. comes into this year. Oh, we don't know. It's like we looking like it might be time to hang him up, right? Because dude getting hurt when nobody touching him. But over the last couple of weeks, we seen Odell Beckham Jr. flash, right?
He looks healthier.
And so we don't,
He looks healthier. He looks a little bit more
He looks healthier
agile.
and explosive. Like he took a couple like this weekend, the last couple weekends, you can see him take that slant and go. You see the explosion, the burst there, big catches as well. That's what you need out of him. You don't need him to be Odell from New York or even when he flashed with the Rams. You don't need that.
No,
what you
he's
need him to
a
do
wide
is
receiver 2 option at this point.
Well, he could. I don't even think about it that way anymore.
Because Zay Flowers is 1.
Yeah, but like next week, Odell can go for 150 if he's healthy, right? Odell can go for 150, and that's what you need. Is like when your number's called, are you ready to go? Are you in the right mindset, right? So yes, Ashley, to a sense, like what you're saying is Odell has to be okay. It's hard for a wide receiver like Odell. Any dog wide receiver, I don't give a damn. You win. You got 3 catches, 34 yards. That ride home ain't sweet. 34 yards? No.
I got to be honest. Every time Odell runs a slant or it hits the floor, I lose a breath. I'm like,
I know.
Please get up. Please get up. Please get up. I could only imagine as a Baltimore Ravens fan, every time you see him get tackled or every time you see him run a slant, you just hold your breath. Like, please get up. Please don't let this be the one. Do you trust his body as the season progresses? I think that's the biggest question mark. It's fair to have doubts considering how many injuries he has had, consistently season after season. Given his history, the talent is there, immenseable talent. I don't think that's even up for discussion. Are you concerned about his body moving forward as the games get tougher, as the season continues to get longer?
Well, you never know, right? When you deal with so many injuries, you're putting your body in a tough position, right? Because your body goes into compensation, and then, you could be leaning one way and put more stress on something else. So, that's what you're fighting. Odell, I would say this, there's nobody that works harder on taking care of themselves, right? He's flying people in from around the world to take care of his body, right? Like these are some of the things that we talked about and instilled when we played together in New York. So I know that for a fact. And sometimes you could do a little too much, right? Like towards the end of my career when I was still trying to hold on, and I got to like the last 2 years, like, hold up, man, let me just let God work. Like I'm doing way too much, putting way too many hours into this body, and that shit's still breaking down, right? So you don't know. You gotta play your part. But at the same time, it's like this is the game, right? Like there's the gentleman Phillips who was balling the defensive end for the Miami Dolphins. He just goes down in MetLife with an Achilles, right? So it's like you just don't know. It's the inevitable. Guys are going to go down. It's like who's going to be healthy at the right time and who's going to make their plays. I think the Baltimore Ravens are in perfect position. They got their guys there. They got a couple guys banged up. Defense is playing well. And all they got to do is make their plays.
For Baltimore to make a run, they need Odell to step up, right, and start to emerge as that number 2 with Mark Andrews going down, because they feature Zay Flowers right now, right? He got 72 targets. Out of the wide receiver, the next one is Odell with 42, right? And Rashad Bateman behind him at 31 receptions. So they need him, right? They can't keep trying to wait and see like, if your body go hold up. Like, no, they need to start featuring him, because when you get to the playoffs, Andrews not gonna be there anymore. They go stop the run.
Andrews may be there. There is a report that he may come back.
He might. But if he come back, I don't think he's gonna be.
His injury was not as severe as initially anticipated.
I still don't think.
But hold on, B. Like, hey, I agree with you there, but he can make impact in different ways. I'm looking at his stats. You're right. Like, 37 yards, 29 yards. This is ugly. 34, 49, 0, 56, 40. And then the week before, he had 116 yards. He looked explosive. He looked good. And so I feel like he had that breakthrough where he has the confidence. The team has the confidence. Remember, I said a couple weeks ago, I was like, something's going on. He was pissed off on the sideline. They were winning. It was a primetime game. Lamar was throwing the ball every single play. And they was like, we got to get him in rhythm. We got to get him going. I think they did get him in rhythm. He broke through. But there's going to be games like this where Zay Flowers have 100-something yards and Odell have 30, 40, 50, and vice versa. So as long as Odell's healthy and he's in the right mindset, he's going to make his plays. I think they're going to be fine. And I don't think they need him to be this dog number 2. Because you have Bateman, you have Aguilar. Aguilar, catch the ball, do your job.
If Aguilar just catch the ball, he'll weapon.
Yeah, he had a drop.
Well, listen, I want to get to the Chargers before I want to get to the Chargers before we close out this conversation. On the other side of this conversation, the Chargers are a mess. They have all the talent on their roster and none of the wins to produce it. You know how I feel about it. The biggest problem there, 2 words: Brandon Staley. Justin Herbert. Immensible talent. We're talking about great talents. Justin Herbert's one of them. Also just a really nice guy. Should Justin Herbert demand a change within this organization ASAP, whether it's coaching, whether it's more help, just go ahead and throw around that franchise quarterback weight and say, listen, get me this or I want out.
B, you want to start there?
If you meet Justin Herbert, he'll never make these demands,
he won't.
right?
He won't. He won't. He's not
That's
that
like
guy.
so
Really
far
nice
from
guy.
what he'll do. But I wish he would put his foot down because they wasting his years. Keenan Allen, you'll still think he'll he'll go over the cliff sometime soon, but he's still doing his thing, right? And they just need an offensive play caller that can just. I don't even know if it's the offensive play caller. Like, what is the Chargers' problem? Because the offense they cooking. Like,
Brandon
what more
Staley?
do you want?
I've been telling y'all it's Brandon Staley since last year. I don't know how. I don't know how he is still the head coach there.
So you think if his defense?
Listen, hold on, Ashley. I'm with you when you're right, and sometimes you be saying some wild things when we talking talking about some of these coaches and quarterbacks. With quarterbacks and coaches, sometimes me and you just don't see eye to eye. But you've been right on this Brandon Staley thing. I came into the year like, I like Brandon Staley. And you was like, what? Get rid of this dude now. Like, the season ain't even start. They should have listened to Ashley before the year started.
Brandon Staley has shown this organization who he is time and time again. And that is not head coach material. This guy could not coach his way. He could not coach a little league football team. Like, he's just not a good head coach. And I don't know what else the Chargers need to see as an organization to just go ahead and give this man his pink slip. I don't understand what they're waiting for. This is not a roster that's not good.
Yeah.
They have talent on both sides of the field, on both sides of the ball. So it's not a roster situation. It is a personnel situation. There's no reason with Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Derwin James, Mike Williams. I mean, the list Austin Eckler, the list goes on and on. There's no reason why you should not be a better football team than you are this season. And the reason you are not is because the guy calling the plays, the guy in charge of making the decisions is not the coach you need to win with.
Now, you said something there, Ash. Like, they brought him in because they thought he was going to bring his defense. Like, his defense was going to travel with him because they had the pieces. And if you're ranked 31st in total defense, and then you're not the best game manager.
That's wild.
It's like all the signs are pointing. Like you have to go mid-season.
I thought we were going to wake up this morning to that news. Like, I didn't think Frank Wright would be the one to drop before. I didn't think Frank would be fired before Brandon Staley. Yeah, at this point, it's time to move on. It's time to get ready, get a head start on the the candidacy process, like for sure.
And I've said before, when we did our 2 early predictions, I said that the Chargers will win football games in spite of their coach, not because of him.
Yeah.
Any game that they have won this season is on the talent of their quarterback and their roster. It has nothing to do with that head coach. He is not a good head coach, and I don't know what else. I'm surprised he hasn't already lost this locker room. Like,
I think he has.
I don't understand how he's still there. It is baffling to me that he still has a job. It's insane.
I think he lost the locker room. I mean, when you see guys on the sideline, you can see their mannerisms. And when Keenan Allen was out of the game last year, and when they went on him for a 4th down, they didn't get it. And he just like, what the hell are we doing? And he's tweeting it.
We're literally talking about a coach, a one-and-done situation where he's 1-11. The season's not even over with, and he lost his job because the NFL is about wins and losses. You have a head coach with a drastically more talented roster that has been given time and time again to show you he's not that guy, pal. Like, there's a famous saying from Maya Angelou: when someone shows you who they are, believe them. He's shown you he's not a good head coach. Move on. Figure it out. Figure out what that next chapter is. It is baffling to me.
If they make the right decision at the coaching position this offseason, this team could be right where they need to be because they are loaded, man. It's unbelievable that they're sitting.
How would they bring in Bill Belichick?
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying, or there's some speculation there, but I don't even know if they need to go that heavy. Like, I don't think they need that.
What about Josh McDaniels?
Dan Quinn could be great. No, actually, stop. Oh my goodness.
I just want to see Brady's reaction.
Josh McDaniels get another head coaching gig, yo. I would never. I can't even picture Josh McDaniels. Do you think Josh McDaniels will get another head coaching
Hey, Doc
job?
Rivers had like 3 coaching jobs, and he blew multiple 3-1 leads. So anything is possible.
Different, though. Basketball is different.
He blew multiple 3-1 leads and got 3 coaching jobs.
I think Josh McDaniels is so traumatized that he wouldn't even take another job.
I was gonna say that. I don't even think he wanted.
he over it. But you know what's crazy though? I can see Josh McDaniels coaching the Patriots. If something happens there with Bill Belichick, because it's about familiarity, and it's like, I can see Robert Kraft hiring Josh McDaniels. That's it. Outside of that, like, if I'm a college, I can't even see. No college should even want him.
What about if you just upgrade Kellen Moore?
He'll be an excellent high school football coach.
What about just upgrading Kellen Moore? Promoting him.
No, they need some juice. They need some swagger. You're in LA. They need swagger. They need somebody with a chip on their shoulder. They need somebody, with a little pep in their step.
Well, speaking of pep in the step, you guys, when I say you guys, I mean you and Cam Newton are going to be stepping on stage soon, 11/29 in Chicago for the I Am Iconic tour. We have a little video, I think, that we can go ahead and tee up to show everybody what they could expect, the kind of vibes. Nice. Go ahead and roll that.
1, 2. Get down.
Even if you are not ready for the day.
Paid the cost to be the boss. I paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. You know what to see.
Even if you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be night.
Flex, I do work. It sounds like right.
Chicago kicks off the first date of the I Am Iconic tour. If you haven't already gotten your tickets, head over to either Brandon or Cam's Instagram, and there will be all the information on how you can go ahead and secure your last-minute tickets. Brandon's going to be wearing something sparkly. Cam's going to have a really big hat. There's going to be food, wine, and perhaps, has this been confirmed, a musical guest? Is that still happening, or?
Yeah, we working. So another day or so, we're going to make some cool announcements. Who's going to be gracing the stage with us? But at the end of the day, like, I think, man, Cam Newton's just funny. Cam Newton's funny.
Cam is very funny.
Oh my god, he's a character. I love when me and him connect. Like it's magical. But no, it's not confirmed yet. We're working on 2 things right now. We'll make that announcement here in the next within the next 24 hours.
If you need a musical guest, you can just go ahead and fly out B-Flow and he can rap some Meek Mill. You can finish things off with your Taylor Swift impersonation. That could be the show.
There we go. Yeah, we can do that. And then there was the you like the Spice Girls, maybe you can do the Spice Girls.
You can't just be Spice Girls by yourself. You need members.
Which Spice would you be, Ash?
I'm definitely Posh Spice.
I don't know all of them. But
I'm Posh Spice because
posh?
like she's always in
posh?
black and like very chic. But she's Victoria Beckham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would definitely be Posh Spice for sure. Yeah. I used to think I was Scary just because of the hair, but Scary and I were not the same person. So I'm definitely Posh Spice. We're gonna switch gears.
What happened to the others? What happened to the others? Where are they now? Where are the Spice Girls now? Outside of
Victoria Beckham's very successful.
We know that
Mel B, she used to judge America's Got Talent or something like that. And then the other ones are like big in the UK. You have to remember they're a British girl band, so like whatever success that they've had post Spice Girls, I feel like has been overseas, not here, across the pond, as they say. Hasn't been in the U.S. So long live the Spice Girls, though. Listen, before we close out the show, let's talk some basketball because Draymond Green finally spoke about the chokehold heard across the world.
Was it a chokehold?
He has spoken to reporters for the first time since the infamous chokehold on Rudy Gobert, and he was asked if he regretted the move, and this is what he had to say.
I don't live my life with regrets. Like I said before, I'll come to a teammate's defense anytime that I'm in a position to come to a teammate's defense. That's what a team is. You stick together through the good and the bad. And I take that to heart. I take pride in being a good teammate. That's when I step in here every single day, that's number one on my list, to be a good teammate, number one. I think that takes care of a lot of things. So I take pride in that. And reflecting on the whole incident, I think for me is, you kind of go through the whole gauntlet of everybody have an opinion, and you listen to those opinions or not. Some people opinion I hear, some people opinion I don't.
That's a very long-winded way to say I don't give a damn. Like, I don't regret it. I would do it again. Like, I just could have got to the chase a lot faster there, Draymond. I would do it again.
Jeez. Yeah, he should.
I mean, look, right. I don't think that anybody was upset or cannot condone coming to your teammate's defense. I think it was I think everyone was debating more, was it a little bit more than it had to be? At the point where Clay and Rudy were already separated, should he have released Rudy from the chokehold? He didn't. He continued to drag him to center court or to the bench or wherever it was. That's what everybody was debating. That's what the suspension was. It was a little bit excessive after the situation had already been, resolved. But yeah, you always come to your teammates' defense. I feel like it's a team sport. That's good for camaraderie. That's good for the locker room. That's also good for opposing teams to see that you guys are battle tested, that you guys will go into battle on the court, off the court, in between the court, wherever it may be. So the chokehold, he shouldn't regret in terms of defending his guy. Maybe he should regret a little bit of how long it took him to let go of Rudy, but at the end of the day, Draymond is Draymond. So that's kind of what it is.
I like it.
What I mean?
Don't regret nothing, Draymond. Like, he had to enforce. He let their biggest guy know, like, even though you're taller, you bigger, like, no, I'm the enforcer. And that's why he held on it for so long. Like, I need you.
Rudy didn't have a chance to defend himself. He came from behind.
Don't matter. When he got
so
choked out, he knew he wasn't in charge on that court anymore.
You don't think that once everyone was separated and everyone was going back to their benches, you don't think he should have just let him go?
No, let him know, like, yo, this is who I am. This is, he had to establish his dominance. I love it.
And as soon as he put his hands on him, he knew, oh, this is suspension. I'm going to lose some bread. And so he's like, I might as well keep going.
Might as well go all the way.
Might as well put on this show.
You know how it is when you missing curfew, you ain't finna come home 10 minutes late. Like, yo.
That's true.
I might not even come home tonight. I'm gonna get the same punishment.
He dragged him to the Bay. What was this game? Was it at home?
Yeah, it was Chase Center.
Ashley said, "What did he drag him to the sideline, to the other side of the court? He dragged him to the Bay."
Well, I mean, it is true though. Like everybody was saying, although everyone was debating the intensity in which he held on to him, or the time in which he held on to him. Rather, that's the word I'm looking for. The time in which he did. Everybody was, applauding the fact that he stood up for his guy, and everybody was chastising the fact that Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns did nothing to help theirs. So in that regard,
see, that's what I miss. Y'all miss me with that. Y'all didn't respect that I said I didn't think they should have jumped in.
No,
D Flowers didn't respect it.
100%. They supposed to all get suspended.
They supposed 100%
like they both
should have
supposed
jumped
to show
in.
Draymond out. Like
The
Draymond.
thing that pissed me off the most is Cat is right there. You're supposed to put Draymond in a chokehold until he lets your guy go. You want to choke him? I'm gonna choke you. Let's see who go tap out first. Like he did nothing. He's like there, like guys. You ever see the Michael Jackson video where like he puts the gun up and he just goes, "No, don't do it." Nah, man, you better get your strap and start firing. What the hell?
It worked. No, it worked.
What are you doing?
Like,
yeah.
No.
I can't even look at my teammate the same after that.
I would have to go in that locker room. Not all you got to fight me.
Yeah.
Now we got to scrap. Because, like, you're not, like, what Kevin Hart say? This is not a drill. Help me. Help me.
As you'll
Help
fight.
me.
You'll get into it with somebody about that. You'll fight. You'll little thumper.
If I'm like on a team.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, if you're on my teammate and I'm now if I'm like across the court and I got to run across, I don't get there in time. Like, it is what it is. Like, I tried. But if I'm standing right there, nah, like, I'm going to have to choke you out until you let her go.
Okay, I thought you was like a crier and that was going to express your feelings.
Nah, man, I got to choke you until you let her go. One of y'all got to tap out eventually. Like, everyone needs oxygen.
Okay.
Listen, before we close out the show, actually, for today, Monday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings, Josh Dobbs, and will host Brandon Chicago Bears and Justin Fields. Minnesota is a slight favorite at home. Fields ran for over 100 yards against Detroit last week. So, what are our predictions? How many yards is he going to put up against the Vikings tonight? And are they going to go ahead and secure the win? B-Flow?
Ooh, this tough. I think Fields going to get busy tonight. I think they should have won that game in Detroit. They started out hot. They just took their foot off the gas. But, no, I'm looking for Fields to have a great game tonight. I think it's going to be a game where they might put up 28 points. They'll win something like 28-24. Dobbs will do his thing, but I think the Bears will come out.
Bears going to win it. I'm so glad you said it. We're aligned here, B-Flow. Bears will win it. Justin Fields just got back. Was a little rusty, and they still were in position. And I so badly want this for Dobbs, right? I so badly want this for Dobbs. Like, the story is so cool. So my heart says, like, please, Vikings win it so we can continue this cool story. But when I look at the matchup, I think the Chicago Bears are going to win it, which is really interesting because at the beginning of the year, everybody should have been fired. And there will be some changes. But defensively, I like what they're doing. And then Justin Fields, that's my guy.
I'm going to be the odd one out. I'm going to go Minnesota. Not by much. I don't feel like this is going to be an awfully high-scoring game, but I do think that Minnesota will go ahead and pull out the win, especially at home. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a drastically exciting game in terms of.
You don't think so? I think both quarterbacks will be getting busy, scrambling,
I think
making
it's going to be
throws.
a lot of ugly football. I don't think it's going to be a lot of like, ooh, wow. I think it's going to be a lot of ugly football. But I think that the Vikings are going to figure out a way to win. All right, guys, listen. That does it for the show. Brandon, Chicago, I know it's cold. Did you bring a coat? Do you even own a coat at this point?
Oh, I do. I have a lot of overcoats. I have a lot of stuff, but it's all in storage. And so I don't have a coat with me. I brought my turtleneck.
You're in 27-degree weather without a coat?
Yeah, because I'm not going to be walking around. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be in and out of Ubers or cars, and I'm going to run right into my destination. But last night I got caught up. Last night, Kofi Hughes walked me from the Soho House to this gym that he wanted me to see that he runs. And so it was probably like a block and a half walk, and I felt my face freezing. My fingers freezing. And I'm out there. I'm like, damn, like this is the weather we used to play in.
You forget,
it was
right?
crazy. No sleeves either, bro. Like I'm like,
because you don't got no adrenaline going right now. You just straight off Uber seats.
Yeah, so I muscled it out. It was only a block and a half, but I muscled it out. Maybe 2 blocks.
Well,
let me say 3 blocks so it makes it seem cooler.
You stay warm. B-Flow and I are in 75-degree weather, so we'll be okay. Until then, guys, this does it for this Monday edition of Paper Route. Make sure you tune in tomorrow as we discuss more NBA, NFL, and everything in between. If you're listening on Sirius XM Faction Talk 103, thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. And we will be back tomorrow. Hopefully, we will get Brandon a coat because he's going to need it. He's in Chicago, guys, all week, coming live from Chi-Town. Deep Dish Pizza, fan, not a fan? How do you guys feel about that?
Big fan. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big
Really?
Fan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never had it.
Really?
Yeah.
Bring one back, B.
Bring one back. Put it in your suitcase.
Right. You know they
Bye,
ship it. They ship it. All right, here we go.